Have you ever had that time in life where you were on a mountaintop and then something happens, sometimes it's even something really dumb and small, and it just absolutely devastates you, and now you're down in the valley, frustrated? We're going to talk about that today from Exodus chapter 15. Hey guys, and welcome back to God's Word Made Simple by Simple Servant Ministries. My name is Aaron Hawk, and if this is your first time visiting with us today, I just want to say welcome and thank you for joining us today. God's Word Made Simple is an online discipleship ministry dedicated to taking God's Word and making it simple. We want to help you understand God's Word, apply it to your life, and grow in your relationship with the Lord. Also, at some point, if you appreciate this ministry and content, make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn that bell notification to all so you don't miss any future videos. We would love to have you as part of our family. All right, guys, if you haven't caught the previous videos, I'd suggest going back to at least the beginning of chapter 15, but really I'd say, hey, if you haven't caught the previous ones, just get caught up on the whole Exodus series. Let's get started today. This is a short video, not a lot to this one, but we're connecting so that we can set up for next week's video. So today's video is short, but we're going to just jump straight into chapter 15, verse 22. This is right after the people were delivered from Egypt. Through the Red Sea, God defeated Egypt once and for all. They never rose again to be a world superpower. To this day, they've never again been a world superpower. Think about that for a minute. Verse 22, immediately after that, now that the dancing and singing and praising is over, they're on the mountaintop experience. Then Moses led Israel from the Red Sea, and they went out into the wilderness of Shur. So they're on their way to the promised land, okay? And they went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. So yeah, they kind of need some water. You got to have water to survive. It's a large number of people. So, all your wilderness survival tactics with 1 or 2 people at a time, not going to work real well when you're talking about a mass number of people. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the waters of Marah, for they were bitter. Therefore, they named it Marah, which just means bitterness. So we don't really know what the bitter is, whether it was just that the taste was so bad. I can't imagine that the taste would have prevented them from being able to drink. When you're truly thirsty, even repulsive water is needed, necessary, you're willing to do it. My guess is it was poisoned in some way, and that's what they mean by bitter, that there was something that cued them to this water is not healthy to drink. So don't know, there may be some scholars have figured that out and whatever, but I'm not aware of anything in particular. But whatever the case, they couldn't drink. So verse 24, so the people grumbled at Moses, so they sang 4 days ago, they're singing God's praises and Moses. People do this. They blame the leader when their battle is with God. They're upset with God and they blame the human leader because that leader represents God to them. So if you're a leader of some sort, especially a leader in ministry or the church, don't get frustrated when people get upset with you over stuff you have no control over, because in most cases they're actually upset with God. You're just the representative. And as a member of a church, hopefully you're a member of a church, be careful not to do that to your pastor and other leaders. So the people grumbled at Moses, saying, "What shall we drink?" I'm sure Moses is like, I don't have a water bottle on me. What do you want me to do, people? Right? Then Moses cried out to the Lord, so he interceded on their behalf, and the Lord showed him a tree, and he threw it into the waters, and the waters became sweet. So something about the water was undrinkable. This tree gets thrown into the water, and now they can drink it. No idea. I don't believe anybody has any answers to any of this with this as far as what this was. It could simply be that God was further testing the people, and this is something that was a one-off. It was only this particular instance that this ever happened. We really don't know what caused this, but the bottom line, they weren't able to drink, and then God delivered them again when Moses interceded for them, the power of prayer. There he made for them a statute and regulation, and there he tested them. So whether that was the only reason for this or whether that was the result, bottom line, God tested the people here. And he said, if you will give earnest heed to the voice of the Lord your God, and do what is right in his sight, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of these diseases on you, which I have put on the Egyptians, for I, the Lord, am your healer. So, it would appear that this whole thing was a test. 3 days without water. The whole thing was a test when they got there. And granted, in God's sovereignty, we know that it was. But whatever the case, from their perspective, we're not entirely sure, but it ended up being that regardless. By the way, notice it talked about the diseases and things on Egypt. So as I said in last week's video, if I haven't already pointed, because remember YouTube only lets me do one card per video at a time, or per video. So anyway, as I said last time, God was judging Egypt for their sin. Israel should have taken heed and realized that they should follow God instead of disbelieving God, because if God was using Israel to punish Egypt, there's no reason God can't use someone else to punish Israel for their unbelief. God's warning them ahead of time here in verse 26 that that is exactly what's going to happen if they don't. So let's read that again. And he said, if you will give earnest heed to the voice of the Lord your God and do what is right. So hear and do. Knowledge and action. And do what is right in his sight, and give ear to his commandments, and keep all his statutes, I will put none of the diseases on you, which I have put on the Egyptians. For I, the Lord, am your healer. So major object lesson here at the waters of Marah. Major object lesson. On your own, sickness and death. With God, sweet. And not death. Verse 27 to round out our chapter. Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 springs of water and 70 date palms. That's a fruit. If you're not familiar with dates, that's a fruit. And 70 date palms. And they camped there beside the waters. So following this warning, then God richly blessed them with what we would call an oasis. That ought to be a lesson to us. It should have been a lesson to Israel. Later, they ended up doing exactly what God told them not to do. They rebelled, both in fairly immediate history when they come to the Promised Land, but also, as I referenced before, in roughly 722, 586-ish, 2 different times that the people were taken captive due to their sin against God. That's it for today, guys. We're going to pick back up in chapter 16 next time. So, if you appreciate this video and ministry, hey, let us know that. Give us a like, hit subscribe, turn that bell notification to all if you've not already done that. Check out my video, how to support your favorite YouTube channel, so that you can know how to best support us. It does take a lot to keep this ministry going, so we would definitely appreciate any comments, encouragement that you want to give us, and also any and all of the things mentioned in that video. So, that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much, and God bless.